You will never find yourself while surrounded by noise, and Einstein knew that. You wake up with your phone already in your hand, anxious, tired, lost in 1,000 thoughts, living to respond to the world, but forgetting to listen to yourself. But what if what you're looking for isn't out there? What if everything you need is waiting in the silence? Sit in the silence, because that's where the mind quiets, the heart clears, and the soul finds its way home. If you stay with this video until the end, you'll understand why Einstein trusted intuition more than intellect, and you'll learn a simple 7-day practice to reconnect with your presence without needing to escape the world. Comment below, I'm ready to hear what silence wants to tell me, and come with me on this journey. Before we go any further, if this message already made you breathe a little deeper, if some part of you thought, this is what I've been needing, then do one simple thing. Subscribe to the channel. This isn't about entertainment. It's about helping you remember who you are when the world makes you forget. Now yes, let's keep going together. Have you ever noticed how afraid we are of being alone? Not just the kind of alone where no one is around, but that other kind, the kind that shows up when everything finally goes quiet. No more buzzing phone, no more background noise. Even your thoughts start to slow down, and that's when it hits you, a kind of emptiness and unease, as if we've forgotten how to just be with ourselves. But here's the twist. Einstein, he actually sought that silence. He embraced solitude, not because he was lonely, but because he knew that when the noise stopped, truth could finally speak, the mind clears, and the heart begins to listen. Einstein believed that it wasn't through words, but through silence, that we hear what truly matters. So maybe you're not lost. Maybe you're just buried under too much noise. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you sat in true silence, without running away from yourself? We live surrounded by noise, literal noise, traffic, notifications, people talking non-stop. But the worst noise isn't outside. It's the one we carry inside. Endless thoughts, anxiety about what's next, guilt about what's already gone. We're always connected, but more and more disconnected from who we really are. Einstein knew this, and he once said, I live in that solitude which is painful in youth, but delicious in the years of maturity. When you're young, solitude feels like punishment. It feels like the world forgot you. But when you grow, you realize there's a kind of solitude that heals. You know that moment when you're in a quiet place, far from everything, and suddenly everything makes sense. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to prove anything. You just are. That is creative solitude. It's not running away from the world. It's finding your way back into it. But we've unlearned this. We live in a constant state of distraction. If we have 5 minutes free, we open our phone. We've forgotten how to sit in stillness and just breathe. Silence scares us because it shows us what's alive inside. And sometimes we'd rather not look. But Einstein looked. He listened. He felt. And in that silence, he accessed ideas no one else could imagine. Do you know where he first glimpsed the theory of relativity? Not in a lab, not in front of a chalkboard, but on long walks, alone, in silence. He said, the most beautiful thing we can experience is the mysterious. It is the source of all true art and science. He called it a cosmic feeling, a kind of connection to something greater that only reveals itself when the world quiets down. And that's true for you too. How many answers have you been searching for out there that might already be inside you, just waiting for the noise to stop? We think we need more content, more advice, more stimulation. But maybe what we really need is less distraction, less pressure, less fear of hearing ourselves, because silence has magic. It doesn't speak like a coach or a guru. It doesn't scream promises. It whispers truths. And look, I know it's not easy at first. Sitting in silence, doing nothing, might feel like wasting time. It might feel uncomfortable, even painful, but that discomfort is just the noise dissolving. It's like cleaning a wound. It stings at first, but that's how healing begins. Einstein was called strange, introverted, distant, but maybe he just understood something we've all forgotten, that the mind needs empty space to create, that the heart needs silence to feel, and that the soul only appears when we stop running. So maybe the question isn't, how do I get rid of loneliness? But rather, what is it trying to show me? The truth is, If you learn to be truly comfortable with your own presence, no one else can shake your center, because what you've been looking for in everyone else was already inside you. You just needed enough silence to hear it. Imagine Einstein in his home in Bern. No sounds, just the crackling of the fire, and thought he would write letters to himself, not for answers, but to understand what he felt. He believed that the space between thoughts is where the new is born. He once said, "I think 99 times and find nothing. I stop thinking, swim in silence, and the truth comes to me." So, what might come to you if you gave yourself that same silence? He honored the rhythm of thought. He knew that great ideas don't come in a rush. They're born in the space between things, in the silence between two thoughts. Let me ask you, how many times in your life have you had a breakthrough idea when you weren't even trying? In the shower, on a long drive with no destination, staring at the sky, or walking alone, no headphones, just your footsteps and the wind. That's not random. That's your mind finally speaking. When you stop, filling the space with noise. Einstein called this his sacred time, a moment when the mind shifts, becomes more receptive, more intuitive, as if you become an antenna, tuned to something larger than yourself. But that kind of time requires silence, solitude, a quality of presence we've lost in the modern world. Even when we're alone, we're distracted, alone with our phones, drowning in videos, voices, and endless comparisons, and that's why we're so exhausted. It's not just physical tiredness, it's mental fatigue, the kind that comes from never truly listening to yourself. Now imagine this. What if solitude isn't emptiness, but a fertile field? Einstein never saw silence as lack. He saw it as a wide-open space, where ideas run freely, where he could reconnect with something deeper than logic, something sacred. You know that feeling when you stand before the ocean and feel something move inside you, but you can't explain what. Or when you walk into a quiet forest and everything inside you hushes. That's the same space Einstein sought. He knew the mind must pause if it wants to hear the voice of the soul, and the soul doesn't shout, it whispers. Only in silence do we hear. So now bring that into your life. You wake up, grab your phone, 30 notifications. The world is already screaming. You run, you reply, you work, you grind, and at the end of the day, something still feels missing. That something might be this: silence, space, you. Einstein had a simple habit. He wrote letters to himself, not to solve problems, but to understand what he was feeling. You can do the same. Grab a notebook. 5 minutes a day. No rules, no pressure. Just write. What is alive in me right now? That one question can change everything. Because the more you listen to yourself, the less lost you feel in the noise of others. And this isn't about escaping the world. It's about returning to it with more truth. Einstein attended conferences, taught in great universities, debated with brilliant minds, but he always returned to silence because he understood the outer world is only a mirror of what's going on inside. If there's chaos within, there will be chaos outside too. So, before you chase all the answers, before you try to fit in, before you try to rescue everyone else, come back to yourself. Be still. Listen. You don't need to figure it all out today. You just need the courage to spend a little more time with you. At first, it might feel strange. It might even hurt, but it's in that stillness that you begin to remember who you really are. And once you remember, no one can take that from you. Now that you've understood the power of silence and how essential it was in Einstein's life, it's time to feel it for yourself. Because understanding isn't enough. You need to experience it. So here's the invitation. For the next 7 days, you'll do a simple experiment. Gentle, but powerful. A quiet agreement between you and your soul. And no, you don't need to escape to the mountains. You don't need to unplug from life. What you need is to carve out a sacred space within your daily routine. A space where the noise can't enter, where nobody else has access. Only you, and the silence. Let's begin, because there is a place inside you where everything already makes sense. You just need to get there. And to reach it, you must go quiet. Einstein wasn't a mystical man, but he believed in mystery. He said the human mind is limited, but intuition is a sacred gift. And that gift, my friend, isn't on your phone. It's not in the next achievement. It's not in comparison with others. It's here, inside you, waiting. The moment you go silent. Have you noticed how today's world praises the loudest voice, the boldest post, the biggest performance? But no one teaches us to listen. No one teaches us to pause. And pausing isn't giving up. Pausing is returning to the body, to the breath, to presence, to the soul, and in silence. The soul doesn't need to explain itself. It just is. Einstein once said the problem with humanity is that intellect was placed on the throne, and intuition became a servant. But he believed it should be the other way around, because intuition speaks from somewhere deeper. And what is intuition, if not that inner voice you only hear once everything else goes quiet? Now listen closely. You don't need to change your whole life overnight. You don't need to quit everything. You don't need to isolate yourself from the world. But you do need to start creating moments of truth. Moments where you are with yourself, without fear. Moments where you actually hear what you've been needing to say. Moments where you realize that silence is not emptiness, but presence in its purest form. Look, when you stop running, even just for a moment, time changes. Things slow down. You feel the wind on your face. Your coffee tastes warmer. The morning light seems softer. And you realize that this simple thing is life. The part of life noise has been stealing from you. And you know what happens after 7 days of conscious silence? You start noticing patterns. You see that much of what irritated you no longer does. That many fears that felt massive were just noise, and that what you thought you needed was never yours to begin with. You start coming home to yourself. Einstein wasn't wrong when he said, solitude over time becomes delicious, because it gives you back to you. And when you return to yourself, the world around you begins to shift. Your relationships change. Your choices feel clearer. You begin to act with more calm, more presence, more truth. You stop reacting and start responding. And that is freedom. Now, one last invitation. Tonight, before you sleep, turn everything off. Truly off. Close your eyes. And sit in silence for 2 minutes. Just 2. And in that space, ask yourself one gentle question. What within me is asking to be heard? Don't rush to answer. Just listen. You might be surprised by what begins to surface when you finally allow yourself to do nothing. And tomorrow, if you want to continue this journey, come back. Not to this video, but to yourself. Because the more you listen to silence, the more it reveals. And the more it reveals, the harder it is to get lost in the noise of the world. Einstein left us many formulas, but maybe this was his most important one. The human being who has lost the ability to sit in silence has lost the ability to hear themselves. And those who can't hear themselves get lost in the world. So before you dive back into your day, your life, your race, breathe, close your eyes, and listen. Are you there? Yes, you've always been. Now tell me in the comments, what was the moment in these last few days when silence truly touched you? Share it. Your experience might be exactly what someone else here needs to read today.